I don't know, did I mention these hens that are already laying? They've been utilizing this corner behind this blocker board for laying eggs, and they they did that on their own. We moved them in on short notice. We didn't have nest boxes to put up for them. I did kind of think about, is it going to be a problem that we don't have nest boxes for them? But our experience with chickens has been that they find a place to lay their eggs if they want. So we decided to just put those hens in here and let them sort it out. And they decided to use that back corner for laying eggs. So our observation of that is that it actually works out really well. So we're going to mimic something like that in the new chicken coop. So let's go take a look at the new chicken coop. It's a work in progress. It's not completed yet. Hopefully these Rhode Island Reds will be laying within 2 months from now. They were hatched end of October, and we presume about 5 months before they are going to lay eggs. There's one of the new hens. Isn't she pretty? They're all pretty. Really excited to have them here. And here's one of their eggs today. So this is basically one of the approaches to the new coop. So this is a chicken house where our hens have been for quite a long time, but they're finally coming out. This is like the second day in 3 weeks when they've tried to come out, because this has all been covered by snow. So now they're coming out and they're sticking to the areas that aren't snowy. But we want to at some point fence everything that's right here around me immediately. And so we're starting to see a little bit of the work in progress there. And we want these hens to be able to go outside and actually forage. So, you know, when they have a small run, they overwhelm the vegetation on it quickly. So I'm just being real careful walking down here, because now the snow is melting, but because it's melting, there's a lot of frozen patches still under the snow. So it's real easy to slip, especially where it's packed down and was frozen. So I'm going to try to get to the other side of it and give you a more complete picture here. Okay, so we just parked the trailer there. Under the tarp is the rest of the soffit and J-channel fascia. We did find a door. I'll show that to you in a minute. But so this is basically the design of the chicken coop. It isn't going to have a floor in it. We're just going to use the ground for the base of the floor, and we'll put a little bit of fill material possibly in it, and then just the bedding material, or even some soil material in there that we want them to have. So we really ideally want our floor material wise to be kind of like natural, partly sandy, partly gritty soil that drains exceptionally well. So we find over time in our other, so in the hen houses that are there in the completed building, that's what the floor is like and the material is like. It just goes down to the natural ground. So we like over time how that turns into something that is real effective for them to dust bathe in right there in their chicken coop. But this is just an 8x8, and so in addition to no floor with it, it also is not like a permanent building in terms of posts are not stuck into the ground. So it actually is similar to a skid building in terms of if you had the right equipment or strength or manpower and cooperative effort, you could pick it up and move it. So that was also done intentionally, partly because we may not necessarily want it in the same place forever, but also partly because we don't want to add permanent buildings, because that adds to the tax liability on your property tax. So those are the reasons we didn't want to do a permanent building with posts in the ground. So we'll kind of go close up here in a moment. You can see we just mocked up this side partially to see what the siding is going to look like. We did a T111. That was the stock color at the lumber store where we got it, and We'll probably eventually paint it, but it actually looks quite nice. It really complements well with the colors that are already on our property, but we might eventually paint it black. The T111 material, this siding material, is kind of a wood material, and it did have, I don't know that you can see it, but there's two pieces there. They were cut in half height wise, and those are T111 boards that have a lap edge, so they kind of like shiplapped together more or less. So from the middle up, we're going to put clear corrugated panel, almost like greenhouse material. And then this is actually not a trim piece intended for this, but we wanted a trim piece here to make somewhat of a ledge to set that greenhouse type siding material on. So this is just J-channel that we repurposed in a different way on top of our T111. So we'll put that all the way around. The idea is that this will be the side that the chickens can enter and exit, and maybe there will be a fence like right here that would tie into this corner, and we might have multiple coops like this kind of down here in a row, and they would all feed into basically a fenced in area here where we've let this grow up. And maybe we can even paddock that off into separate areas so the chickens can have different runs. So we're envisioning on this side at the bottom some kind of chicken door. Probably won't get a real good look at this, but this right here is what we are going to repurpose for the door, man door for the chicken coop. I'll walk over and show you where we're going to put that. So this side will have the man door, and that was the idea, to be able to come around to this side of it, go in and out. The chickens are going in and out the other side into a fenced area. We can get into the coop without going into the fenced area. Maybe we can do some plantings around the coop of one thing, marigolds, to help deter snakes from going in and out of the coop. Supposedly the root systems of marigolds is so dense that it prevents snakes getting in buildings. I guess that's why traditionally you would frequently see marigolds planted around buildings on farms and what have you. And would also love to do plantings around the coops of things that we can feed to our chickens fresh or dry for our chickens. Herbs like oregano, whatever we can come up with. So I'm starting to get cold again. So once I start to get cold, like my brain just goes on repeat. It's cold, it's cold, it's cold, and everything I want to say goes right out of my head. But anyway, we will put that door here on this side. And so little backstory on that door is that door was originally from the basement of our home. My husband built it out of salvage material from his family's farm a couple miles out the road, actually. And so it was the original bedroom door for my husband and I in our home, in our basement. We had initially built the basement and lived in it. The plan was to live in it about 8 years. I think we lived in it about 7 before we put the addition or the top on the basement. So that was our original door to our bedroom. Since then, it had been replaced and updated, and we actually used it at one time for a little short while. We operated a bookstore, a brick and mortar physical bookstore in the town across the river, and that was the countertop on top of a homemade counter that my husband built for the bookstore. And now we're gonna put it on the chicken house, and that's how everything around here is. Like, it just gets built or made, DIY, homemade, make it yourself, and then if it can be repurposed, you know, if we update there and something that we take off can be repurposed, we just like generally salvage it and repurpose it somewhere. So it kind of feels makeshift, but it's going to be useful on this building. And so, you know, those are very nice chicken coops, but we were talking about why do we want to make an upgrade for our hens. So we generally are thinking we want to get all the chickens out of that building. We have chickens on each end, and in the middle is kind of storage. So if that building's going to stay there, we'd actually like to store other things in it, but like the lawnmower, riding mower, different things. But we can see the possibility in the future that we may even want to take that building down. So we want to be ahead of that and get our chickens moved into some safe chicken spaces for them. And we want to have some kind of fence that they can get out into and kind of forage and range, because as it is, those are the runs they have, and we basically have to keep them in their coops and in their runs most of the time, other than when we can supervise their free ranging. So back on this, I think the guys are planning on trying to finish this week. Probably when they have opportunity to work on it, I won't be home. So I don't know if I'll record more of the build or not, but I think it's going to be great. I'm really excited to see it finished. They'll put the door in, finish up the siding, and that is going to be a high step there, but we may leave it. I was going to point out on this too. So down here at the bottom, so really, and I'm trying not to fall either. So this is really the bottom of the building, the bottom of this wide board. And then this board is just here on this side to accomplish leveling this building for this particular site. But they just had to do that to make it sit level. So that was really the day that we got the materials. We hope to get the building done, but really, I think all we really got accomplished was prep the site. The ground was frozen. It was hard to do that, and square the building, level the building, you know, the posts and the base of it. And then my husband and sons framed in the rafters. They built all that from scratch. So with that all in, my husband feels like getting the siding on it, the rest of it's going to go quicker. So we probably won't have electric right here like we do have in that set of hen houses. And water is at that set of hen houses. So for the time being, it will stay there. That's as close as it's going to get for now. And we'll see how this little chicken complex kind of develops. So this is one end of the chicken house that we currently have. This will continue to house chickens for a while, even with the new hen house. And this is the other end of the established hen house. It will also continue to be used and kept as a hen house for a while, because immediately what's going on is we need to get the meat bird barn empty. But some of these hens will go to the chicken coop that's in progress, like this large white one, she will, and the black copper Morans. There's one of them at the door. There's one of the blue Morans. She'll also go. Probably Morticia and Elvira will. Several of them will. So we'll be selecting for hens to go to that hen house, and then hopefully it's going to function well, and we'll be making a match to it and have another hen house down there. But we definitely will be continuing to use these. This building that these hens are currently in has been here over 20 years for us, and the thing about it is it's been a great multi-use building. The nice thing about the new coops, from my perspective, is that we're making it specifically for chickens. That was one of the nicest things about our meat bird barn. It was made specifically for the kind of chickens that we want to raise in it for the meat birds. And so with these new hen coops, they're being made specifically for the kind of birds we want in them. And that's really nice, because like in this building, we've had pigs, we've had goats, we've had a horse, we've had dogs, we've had chickens. So it wasn't constructed for one specific purpose. And it's really fun when you get to build something and specify the features of it for the function you want it to perform. So there's a couple eggs. So we've gotten 24 eggs so far today, and they might lay a few more. We did see 40 degrees Fahrenheit today, so that's making everybody feel good, and the sunshine's lovely. Thank y'all for supporting our channel. We appreciate it so much. Please do like the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Please consider a membership, and feel free to share our videos. We love to show you what our small farm life is like. There's a lot of chickens, but there's also a lot of family time and fun time, and we try to share a little bit of that too. And the main message we want to get out there is try to source your food locally, wherever local is for you, directly from the producers of the food, the farmers, the ranchers, and the farms that are in your area. So please consider seeking them out, connecting with them, and sourcing your food from them. And consider raising or growing as much of your own food as you possibly can as well. That's the most direct connection to the food that you eat. And it's wholesome food when we source it whole.